Mic check, mic check. 1 2 1 2. What's going on, my people? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Thank you for tuning in with Profe Gayu. What's going on, my people? And I got a really good topic here. So, pros and cons living in the Dominican Republic, pros and cons living abroad. Now, we can go on and on with this with all the pros, all the positives, all the cons, all the negatives. We can go on and on and on with this. But what I do want to do is make sure I hit on all the stuff that people tend to overlook when living abroad, right? There's a lot of stuff that people overlook. I mean, the little things that can turn into big things, and the big things that are really not so big, right? But I'm going to hit on all this stuff right now. But before I do all that, I want to make sure that I give some folks some time to come in before I start really digging deep into everything. So I'm going to give you all, a minute to all get in. If I have some folks that were waiting, waiting for me to go live to jump in on the live or whatever the case may be. Also, I am going to share the link just in case anyone wants to jump on the live. So I'll be doing that in a sec. But meanwhile, as folks get in, I'm going to go ahead and put on the intro.
No more, so I left the matrix.
And my money just tripled. I had a good time and it cost me a little. So I found peace, tranquility, faith in my abilities.
I couldn't fake no more, so I left the matrix.
All right, folks. So if you're not already in, as you come in, I'll start summarizing some of the pros and cons. So when you come in, ask questions, leave a comment as I go through, and let me go ahead and jump in all this. So pros and cons. I'm just going to do all the cons first, because I think maybe folks want to know the cons first before all the positives. I mean, there's some obvious pros, some obvious positives of living abroad, living in the Dominican Republic. So with that said, I'm gonna hit on all the cons that I have laid out. Of course, there's always going to be more cons. So if I'm missing a con or a pro, be sure to comment, share your experience. I'm gonna drop the link in a bit. So you want to come on a live, you can also come on a live and talk about your experience and your thoughts. So the cons. One of the cons that I think is really the concern of a lot of folks that live that travel outside of the United States or outside of these more developed countries is crime. Now, crime is definitely a con living abroad. Hey, crime is an issue living in your home country. So when you're moving abroad, because it's not your home country, you may not be accustomed to the system or aware of the way people move in that particular country. Your head always needs to be on the swivel. Crime is a definite issue. People may overlook it by comparing it to, let's say, the United States. The United States has got all these kinds of shootings and robberies and all this stuff. Yeah, that's true, but a lot of these other countries are smaller and they have it at the same, if not a higher rate. So do not overlook crime. I could tell you that maybe a week or a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week or so ago, a about 6 o'clock in the morning, a young guy about 18, 19, was getting off work and was walking, and he got stuck up by a girl. We're all equal over here. I know girls can rob people too, yeah, but he got stuck up on the street by a girl, and a girl took his phone. Yeah. So imagine that. Now he's not a big dude. He's a small dude, probably about maybe soaking wet. He's 150 pounds. But this girl robbed him on the street, 6 o'clock in the morning. So, and crime is an issue, right? So don't think that because you are in the company of a girl, or think that you are in the company of people who may be smaller than you or kids, that you won't get taken advantage of, because you will and you can. So your head always needs to be on a swivel when you are in the Dominican Republic, or if you are in another country. It's just the lay of the land. Another issue, government systems and the business, the way of doing business, operations is very insufficient. There is no standardization. And it can drive you crazy, because when you are dealing with a bank, for example, you are opening an account, and it's not straightforward. It can be a process. But if you started working with a particular representative from that bank, and you have to come back to, bring some more documents, or come back to sign some papers, or come back to follow up. In most cases, not always, but in most cases, that particular representative of that bank is the only one that can help you. So if she's on leave, on vacation, out on lunch break, or she's out sick, or whatever the case may be, you have to come back, because she's the only one that can help you out with that particular issue you're dealing with. In one of my cases, the representative changed jobs. So I had to start the process all over again. I had to get those documents all over again, right? So you will find that here. You'll find that you can have the same bank or the same organization, but in different locations, and you would think they all operate with the same standard operation procedures, but that's not the case. They all work differently. Like, for example, right now I'm looking at potentially moving, right? And moving out the country. So I've been looking at, different countries and their processes of, getting a visa or etc. And what I noticed here is, I'll talk about the Dominican Republic first. My process that I went through in the consulate or embassy in DC is totally different from another person who went through the consulate in Miami. Totally different. The documents they had to present, for the most part, is the same, but there are some differences. And I just realized that now, that that's not a Dominican thing. That is maybe a regional thing, because I realized that some other countries in the region also operate the same way. Different consulates have different standards. So we're talking about government here, but we're talking about banks, like private businesses, different standards. You'll have a place that says, hey, you need to bring the original document and the translation. And another place will say, hey, you don't need to, doesn't need to be translation. You can translate it. You can just bring the original document. Just stuff like that. So you'll find yourself getting the runaround and falling into just having so much difficulty just getting little things done here, because there is no standardization, and things run so inefficiently. And it's not, and I'm not anything bashing the government or bashing, you know, some of the private businesses here, but that's just what happens here a lot. It's standard. And what that said is there's no real value given to customer service. You'll find some businesses that focus on that, but for the most part, customer service is like, hey, you can deal with us or not. So they don't have the motivation, or the workers don't have the motivation to give good customer service, because whether they give you real good customer service or not, there is not going to be any, they don't see that as it affecting them, and they don't have any consequences for that. And that goes, and I can continue to talk about that. That sort of goes into the, I don't want to say the Dominican way, but you'll find that a lot of Dominicans operate like that. Like, hey, if there's no consequences, then I'm gonna just do whatever I want, and because there's no consequences. So there you go. So I got it: crime, government systems, business operations. The next one I have is scams. Scams. You'll find that, look, man, a lot of Dominicans, most Dominicans do not make a whole lot of money, right? Their income is maybe on average, between $300 and $500 a month. So that's not a whole lot of money, especially when the cost to take care of a family of 4, for example, on average, is at least triple that, right? Living here. So yeah, I'll say about an honest estimation, and people may disagree, and I want you, if you disagree, leave a comment, right? Let me know. But I think, just based on all the research I've done and me living here, $1,500 for a family is about what it costs to get by, a normal family get by in the Dominican Republic. A lot of people don't make that. So just imagine that they're not even surviving at that point. It just really, you know, how can I get by? A lot of folks, you'll find that you'll have a household and you'll have multiple people working under that household. It's not just one person. It'll be there's a mother and father. It'll be the mother and father working, and maybe even one of the kids, if they're of age, to be working as well. Or they'll have multi-generational housing, multi-generations living in the household. So you'll have, you know, grandparents, parents, and kids, you know, or extended family, brothers and sisters or whatever, out there working to bring money home so they can take care of everyone. So, but I didn't mean to go on a tangent. So what that said is, a lot of folks here are hurting for money. So you'll find folks always trying to get over any way they can, which is the reason why you'll see so many scams here. Now, just because you're poor doesn't mean you're going to be trying to scamming folks, right? Just because you don't have a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to be trying to scam folks. But there is more of a motivation if that's the case. And also, there's a lot of people out there who do not have integrity. So whatever they can to get ahead, they will, and they will scam you. So being a foreigner, you always have to be out on the lookout for scams. For example, it's Sunday. So Sunday, a lot of folks go to the beach. And here in Santo Domingo, a lot of folks tend to go to like Boca Chica or Guayacanes, which is over there near Wandolio, and some other areas nearby. And what you will find is, when you get there, a lot of folks are going there. So they'll have like these, they're not valet, but sort of like valet guys, where they'll like sort of manage the parking in the area. So they'll say, hey, park over here, here's a spot here, here's a spot here. They'll sort of walk you to your spot where you can park. And these same guys are usually ones that will say, hey, here's a table over here, here's a menu, and let us know when you're ready to order, right? But oftentimes these menus are they're their menus. They're not menus from a restaurant. They're their own menus. So they'll take a menu from a restaurant and modify it, modify the prices so that the prices will be jacked up, and you'll see that menu. And then let's say, for example, fried fish. Fried fish on the normal menu from the restaurant is, for entire fried fish will be, I don't know, I'm throwing out a number out there, 600 pesos per pound. But they'll give you their menu, you not knowing because you just walk from your car to the seat, and they will. Saludos, Juan Miguel. Saludos. Gracias por venir aquí. So what they will say is they will give you their menu, and that menu price will be 800 pounds. I mean, 800 pesos per pound, right? So they're getting over 200 pesos, right? So that's sort of what they do. They'll give you a menu where the prices are jacked up. You order from the menu, and you give them the money, and then basically they'll pay the restaurant the difference and keep the other money in their pocket. That's another scam, right? And then you leave a tip and all this stuff. I mean, it's just another scam, right? So you got to be lookout on stuff like that, man. It's just there's always someone trying to get over, especially if you are a foreigner and they say you got a little bit of money. They're going to do, a lot of folks, not everyone, but a lot of folks will do whatever they can to get over. So it's sort of, it can be tiring where you constantly have to be on alert for that. Another thing is begging. You'll find a lot of folks begging. And I think that's not something that's something you'll find everywhere, even in the States. But here, because you come here, most of us would, obviously look like a foreigner, where we will have the foreign outfit or the foreign look, looking around and stuff like that. I mean, we'll be obvious foreigners. So they'll come to you and beg, and if you at a tourist spot, for example, and you're trying to sit down with your family to eat, they'll come out. A lot of folks will come by and beg. I've heard folks coin the term for Boca Chica, "Beg Me Beach," because there's so many folks out there begging. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of folks out there who are hurting, man. I mean, it really is. But that is a con that you have to deal with, living in Dominican Republic and many places abroad where there's so much begging. Especially if you live in a upper middle class or rich area. You just go out of your gate of your community, or you just walk outside, and there just be folks, waiting for you to walk outside so they can beg for money. You'll have folks, I've had it where folks even working. Folks are working, whether they're cutting grass, whether they're throwing trash in the dumpster. You walk by, they'll stop what they're doing and say, "Hey, man, can I get some money?" So you'll get that. You'll get that. Another thing, a con. So I talked about crime. I talked about government systems and business operations, scams, begging. The other thing is the Western effect or foreign effect, is what I would say. So that Westerner effect is they'll see that you're there in that country, and they will automatically assume that you have money or you don't know the way of the locals. And that can be a pro and a con. And this way, I'm gonna talk about the con, which is basically you are a target. So people will look at you, they'll watch you. Don't think people aren't watching you when you come here. They are watching you. They're watching your every move, especially if you look different or have a different flavor about you. You know, you move differently, right? So you look different. You'll catch all the attention. You'll have eyes on you. People will be watching you. So just note that, and you'll be a target, and you may even be a target of discrimination because they assume you have money, or they assume that you don't know the local way. For example, and in many places here, where you're looking at I don't know, tourist attractions or museums, they'll have a Dominican price, but then they also have a foreigner price, right? So the foreigner price would be like 2 or 3 times more than the Dominican price, and they'll just charge Dominicans less. I understand that concept, but just note that, you know, you will experience that here, right? I've never seen that in the U.S., but in a lot of other countries, they operate that way, especially in areas that tend to get more foreigners because they're, you know, touristy. Also, you will find that if you are looking to rent, for example, a lot of places won't rent to you because you are a foreigner. They want Dominicans. They don't want foreigners over here. On whether they're trying to prevent gentrification or whether they don't trust foreigners because they think that, you know, if they rent and they fall behind their rent, they'll just skip town and not pay their rent, or there's no way to get that money back, or whatever the case. Even if you are a foreigner who are an actual resident, legal resident, they still a lot of folks, not everyone, because I'm pretty sure someone said, well, I was able to rent a place. Yeah, but I'm telling you that some places won't. So just keep that in mind. Also, some other things you may experience is people will charge you more. Oh, you're a foreigner. They'll charge you more. Point blank. You won't, and oftentimes you won't know that you're getting charged more. So that goes into that people assume that you do not know the Dominican way, right? If you are at a I don't know, supermarket, you trying to get, you know, take a taxi or Uber to go. Well, Uber is different because you use an application. Or take a taxi, right? And they'll look at you. They'll say 300 pesos, knowing that Dominicans pay like 200 pesos. But you got to know that, right? So that's just sort of the attitude people feel towards foreigners here. And I mean, you can look at that in every aspect. You go to a Cormalo and you order a beer that costs 100 pesos, and they'll charge you 200 pesos, and they'll assume you don't know, so they'll get over you that way. So it's just that you constantly have to deal with that, man, and you know that can get annoying. So I talked about crime, government systems and business operations, scams, begging, that foreigner effect, Westerner effect. The other thing I'm gonna talk about, this is probably the last thing I'll talk about for the cons, because we can always go on and on and on about the cons. But one thing I think people really, really, really overlook when they are looking at the negative side of living in the Dominican Republic or living abroad is the justice system. The justice system. Oftentimes, people who are foreigners are just not treated equally. They're not given the same benefit of the doubt. They're not treated equally under the law because they're foreign and they may not know the law, or because they may not be legal residents or citizens. They just get treated differently. And I can tell you, man, I can go on and on with this. I know of foreigners that were robbed, and in order for the police or the justice system to take action, they actually was required to pay for the prosecution process to take place. Yeah, have to pay, right? So that's not right, because I know that a lot of Dominicans, if they are victimized, they don't have to pay in order for the prosecution process or the justice system to take action against that person, right? No, but I've heard it numerous times that foreigners find themselves in a predicament where they're being robbed or assaulted or whatever, and they have to actually pay money out of their pocket in order for things to happen against the criminal. So that's just really, really, really unfortunate. And I know this may not be the case for every country, but it has happened here. And I can tell you that also in many countries, many foreign countries, and it may be the case in many cases in the Dominican Republic, where if you are accused of something, you are automatically seen as guilty. And it doesn't matter about the evidence. It doesn't matter about the situation or whatever the case. You are seen as guilty because you are a foreigner, and they will assume that foreigners come to do harm. That is just the assumption, right? So if the foreigner is being accused of something, they're gonna believe whoever the accuser is, in often cases it's a local national. They'll believe the accuser, and that's just it. So basically, you'll have that bias against you when dealing with the police, we're dealing with the justice system, we're dealing with the judge, we're dealing with the local community. I mean, you'll just be assumed guilty, right? And I'm even going to say this: being black, that negative stigma that we have of in the United States or in the world, it's worldwide. It's worldwide. It's just, I'm gonna be honest, man. No matter where you go, man, no matter where you go in the world, being black it can be a problem, especially when you're dealing with the justice system, because people just, there's just so many negative stereotypes out there, and people will just use whatever fuel they can use to assume that you're guilty, and they'll throw the book at you, man. And I can tell you that those Stevenson brothers out there in Ecuador, they've been locked up, I think, for 2 or 3 years now, because they were successful business owners out there, successful landowners, business owners, farmers out there in Ecuador, and they were on the countryside, and a predominantly indigenous community where they were essentially became a target because people were jealous of their success. And because they were foreigners, because they were outsiders, even though they intermingled with the community, the people were jealous. Even though they were employing many people in the community, they were people were jealous, and basically they used that jealousy to accuse them of something that, based on all the information I'm getting, they had nothing to do with it. I mean, but because of that, they're the foreign justice system, all the hate that in that local community against them, and when you have people who are in power in your pocket, or who are also fueled by that hate, it just creates a difficult situation. And look, man, the U.S. government, don't think the U.S. government is going to be, doing whatever they can in your best interest. I mean, the U.S. government is a government with it's the most influential government in the world, and all it would take is for them to make a phone call, to set up a meeting, and say, "Hey, why is this happening to our citizens? Because based on the evidence we have, this didn't happen." But that happens when it's a high profile case. For example, if it was Brittany Griner, who I believe did actually have a vape pen with marijuana, because she's high profile, the U.S. government had to get involved. Well, they felt they had to get involved, right? Meanwhile, there is a U.S. Marine and Russia in a labor camp that you know, is that the U.S. government did not get involved with that, you know, for whatever reason. But if you're high profile, yeah, they will take a look at your case. But if you were a normal person, and honestly, I believe you're black, uh, they looked out. They looked up, and the U.S. government looks the other way. What's up? What's up, Prophet? What's up, Extra? What's going on? So yeah, they look the other way, and that's unfortunate because and I know that when people break the law, when Americans break the law in other countries, it looks bad for the U.S. government. So therefore, they try to like they'll ignore you. I mean, yeah, they'll come and visit you in the prison and to be sure that your human rights isn't being violated, and then notify your family and all that stuff. But apart from that, they sweep you under the rug, and that's it. They're not going to be paying much attention to you. So if you are being railroaded by the local community or the government or the justice system because you are a foreigner or because you are black or a combination of both, I mean, it's really, you just have to be careful. You really have to be careful because you are at the mercy of that country. And yeah, you're at the mercy of that country. So the cons are laid out: crime, government systems and business operations, scams, begging, that foreigner effect, the justice system. These are all cons that I think that sometimes people talk about, but they often get overlooked, especially the justice system. And with that said, you should definitely watch how you move in a foreign country because you're not going to have the benefit of the doubt in most cases. And people here are brutal against the accused, especially if you're a foreigner. Especially if you're a foreigner. So I'm going to go ahead and go over the pros. And after that, I'm going to drop the link if anyone wants to talk about any of this or anything else. So the pros of living in the Dominican Republic, the pros of living abroad. I'm going to be honest. For me, the biggest thing is the people. The people in almost all cases outside of the United States, in my experience, are really, really good people. Welcoming, caring, just really, really, really good people. Really good people. And I think oftentimes we forget how good people can be, you know, when we have spent most of our lives living in the United States, where people tend to be really cold. I mean, you have some good people, but people tend to be really cold and just not very welcoming. But here in the Dominican Republic and many other countries I've been to, for the most part, people are really, really nice and really welcoming. Really welcoming, really nice. Also, a slow-paced life. When you're in the United States, man, it's always go, 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 move, 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 move. But here, man, it's tranquilo. It's relaxing. It's relaxing. The only time I really see things get fast-paced and rush is on the road driving. And I only say that because Dominicans do not have patience when it comes to driving. They're not the most educated drivers. Probably the least educated drivers that I've experienced in all the countries I've been to, because there is no mandatory driver education. There is a general lack of respect for the law. So therefore, folks who do whatever they want for the most part because they can get away with it because there are no consequences. And you'll find that a lot here. But apart from that, slow-paced life. It's relaxing. People are in no rush to do things, which can be a con, you know, when you're trying to get things done. But at the same time, it's relaxing. It's essentially stress-free in that respect. Also, cost of living. Cost of living. Look, the cost of living in the Dominican Republic is probably 3 times lower than the cost of living in a major metropolitan area in the United States. 3 times less. So therefore, you're saving a lot of money in the Dominican Republic. You go to another country. Look, I'm gonna be honest. Dominican Republic is not amongst the cheapest of the developing world. It is not. Though the Dominican Republic it's a fast-growing country, cost of living has gone up here. It's on the verge of being the 6th largest economy in Latin America after Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, Colombia, and Chile. So after that, Dominican Republic. And this is a country of only 11 million people. And those are countries of millions and millions of people. So there's a lot of money being invested here. So, so the cost of living is going up, but it's still cheap to live here. And other countries in the region, for the most part, is even cheaper, right? It's even cheaper. Mexico was cheaper. Hola, Chiqui Jenny Shop, ¿cómo estás? So, mira, para la gente que habla español, yo estoy hablando de los positivos y negativos de la República Dominicana y también otros países. So, with that said, the cost of living is amazing. You can save a lot of money living here, especially if you work online and you make a minimum amount of money working online in the United States or some of these other more developed countries. You move to a country like the Dominican Republic, and that money will go far. It will go far. Trust me. But that's only if you live within your means. If you come out here to the Dominican Republic or to Brazil or to Mexico or to Peru or Colombia, and you try to live like a tourist for long term, like a tourist, you will find that your cost of living will be on par or more than you will actually spend living in the United States. But if you are living within your means, even if you're living a higher quality lifestyle, you're living within your means, you'll find that you will save money here, right? You'll find that. Other pros. So I talked about great people, slow-paced lifestyle, and cost of living. The next thing is rich cultural experience. Look here. I think out of all because I'm American, I don't feel there's a real cultural identity in the United States because it's a land of just many cultures, right? Someone may say different, but opposite that person may say different because they are where they're from. Most folks in the United States, especially folks who are not Anglo-Saxon or Anglo-Saxon origin, predominantly Anglo-Saxon origin, will beg to differ to say that it is a multicultural country that what up, Gil? What's going on? I'm good, brother. I'm good. What's good with you, man? So it is a multicultural country that has no identity, you know. So if you look at a place like Dominican Republic, there is a Dominican identity, and people are nationalists, and they feel proud to be Dominican, and they'll let you know, and they'll also let you know that you are not Dominican. So what? You are a Dominican resident, Dominican citizen. You are not Dominican. right? So I hear you, brother. I hear you, brother. Hey, Gil, when's the next time you coming out to Santo Domingo, man? Let me know, man. We can get together, brother. We can get together. Let me know. So rich cultural experience, man. The culture here is rich, man. It's rich. My first trip here to Santo Domingo. I wanted to learn. I was doing some personal research, and I really wanted to learn about the ancient African traditions that are continued to uh, empower and impact the lives of many or much of the Dominican communities here in the United States, well, in the Dominican Republic. And what I found, man, is a lot of folks still carry on those ancient African traditions. They may not be out in the open, but they still carry them on. And a lot of times they've been mixed up with a lot of the Spanish and Catholic traditions and customs, but it's still going on. Yamile, muchas gracias por venir aquí. Muchas gracias, Yamile. Toda la gente está viniendo aquí. Muchas gracias. That sounds good, brother. I'm trying to get back February. Have a lot to do here at home, but ready for a vacation. Hey, brother, let me know. I'm here. I'm not leaving Santo Domingo for more than a couple of days anytime soon, man. So let me know when you come here, man. We'll get together. Drinks on me, brother. Drinks on me. And Extra, we still out there. You too, brother. Next time you come out here, let me know, man. Drinks on me, man. Let me know. Let me know. So with that said, is it's a rich cultural experience here, man. The Dominican language is fascinating because even though it's Spanish, they have their own way of speaking Spanish, their own words, their own mannerisms, their own way of communicating, which is very, very, very Dominican. And you'll find that a lot of the Dominican language is linked to have very strong local Taino ties. The Taino, which was like the indigenous group that lived here before the Spanish came, and also African ties. You'll find that, and it's really dope. It's really dope, and not only learning the culture in that sense, but the society, the way people operate, the way people interact with one another, the way the families get together, the way the government operates and works with the families and the education, the schooling, and just the way they go about doing things. That rich cultural experience, I think a lot of folks come here and they really just overlook it. So definitely, I highly recommend. If you're coming here for a significant amount of time, definitely learn about Dominican history, Dominican culture, and get a feel for that rich cultural experience that you will get here. Another thing is, whenever you live in the Dominican Republic or another country, you come over here to travel, you are expanding your horizon. You are basically leaving the United States, which is pretty big and very influential in the world, but you're able to expand your horizon. And in my opinion, and I will debate this with anyone, the best form of education is travel. The best form of education is travel. So if you really want to learn about the world, my opinion is you need to travel, and you will learn so much more than you can learn in a university. You can learn a lot in a university, but you will learn so much more traveling, in my experience. Absolutely. I gotta buy you a few as well. Hey, brother, you just let me know when you come, brother. You let me know. Extrolling for sure, brother. Hopefully you are in town, and I will when I get there next summer. I'll be here, brother. I'll be here. You just let me know. Well, I may be here. You let me know when you get here. You let me know. Facts. Yeah, and that's just it. It's the best form of education is travel. And a lot of folks never leave the United States. A lot of folks never leave their particular region or even their particular state, let alone the United States. So uh, you really need to travel to get a feel for the world. And I don't mean traveling where you leave the United States to go to an enclave of Americans or Westerners in that particular country you're going to. No, you gotta leave that enclave and experience and get that local experience through the food, through the music, through the language, through the religious and local customs. You know, learn about how the government operates and how the society functions within that government. I mean, it's just so much more you can learn about a country to get that experience and expand your horizon. Because it's really, we are really institutionalized in the United States in our way of thinking and where we're seeing the world. And we have to be able to, you know, take off those lenses that we have developed living in the United States and see the world from a more global perspective. That's how I feel when I think that will give you a good lesson in education. Another thing, my personal experience is the healthcare. And me being in the Dominican Republic, healthcare for disabled veterans. The healthcare is amazing. If you are a disabled vet, all your service connected disabilities is covered in the Dominican Republic. And on top of that, with these third-party VA clinics that they have here in the Dominican Republic, they are covered without any money being paid up front. Imagine that. The healthcare is great, man. And on top of that, even if you are not a disabled veteran with those service-connected disabilities, you're just a regular person, go ahead and get your medical insurance with Humano or with Univer. I have Humano, so I know how Humano works. So, or with one of the other ones, and you'll find that it's cheap. It's cheap. I just did a lab the other day to get some lab work done, and with my insurance, I literally paid $2 because it wasn't part of my. It wasn't a disabled. I wasn't a service-connected disability, but so I had to pay out of pocket. So through my insurance, $2 for lab work. There's no lab work you are doing in the United States for $2, right? So I'm telling you, healthcare is good here. Healthcare is good here. Now, you may feel more comfortable doing more complicated procedures in a country that's more technology advanced, but you can get that here. And they have various level of medical insurances here in the Dominican Republic. I have one of the lower levels because, you know, I'm still young, I'm fit, and I have the VA healthcare. But if you are a person who is older and really want that coverage, I mean, you can pay $200 a month for your health insurance, and you'll have VIP coverage. You'll have coverage at the best of the best facilities in Santo Domingo that are better than most of the facilities in the United States. So you will find yourself in good hands as far as healthcare is here. And if you look at another country, other countries, it's on par with the Dominican Republic, if not better, right? You'll find that you'll pay very little to get small procedures done. I'm just right now. I have to. I'm at that age where I gotta get that annual prostate check, the annual annual. I don't know. I know a lot of guys don't like that, but the prostate and the colonoscopy, maybe not biopsy, but some of those stuff when you get up in age, you really got to start looking at that. I mean, who was the guy from Black Panther? Chadwick Baldwin. He was 41 years old and he died of colon cancer. It's really important that, you know, we as young Black men who especially have a history that within our family tree, or who are more likely or less likely to go to the doctor, right? We need to go. We need to go and get those annual checkups. We need to go in and if something is bothering us, we need to go to the doctor. And it's so much cheaper here in the Dominican Republic than it is in the United States. In the United States, a lot of folks don't want to go to the doctor because of that high ass copay, right? All that money they got to pay out, or because they don't have health insurance because it just costs so much to have health insurance, right? I was paying for a family, which is basically my daughter and I. I was paying almost $500 a month, right? A month for health insurance. It's crazy, man. And then I still had co-pays. So it's insane. I'm not disabled, but I have utilized a lot of veteran benefits. Yeah, man, and you want to make sure you do that because some folks think that once they live in the United States, they're not able to use those veteran benefits, but they can. And though a lot of folks are used to going to the VA clinic or VA hospital, all they have to do when they move abroad is enroll in that foreign medical program, FMP program, and they can go into a third-party clinic and not have to pay up front, and that third-party clinic will take care of you and bill the VA. So that's how it works. On top of that, if you go to a regular hospital, yeah, you can pay out of pocket, and then you can build a claim against the VA. But it makes it easier when you have those third-party clinics, and they are popped up not just here in DR. They're all over the place, but they are popped up and they're in Mexico. They are in Costa Rica. They are in Panama. So they are in many countries where you have a significant amount of foreigners or a significant amount of American expats. You'll find that they'll have those clinics built. So yeah, healthcare. Healthcare is cheap, and that is a pro. Period. All right. So I went over the pros. I went over great people, slow pace life, cost of living, rich cultural experience, education, travel as education, and the healthcare. Next thing I want to go into is what's also the foreigner effect. I know I talked about that before as a con, but it's also a pro. And here's why. Because me as a black man, because I'm American, when I travel, it does come with some privilege, right? It does come with some privilege, which is dope. A privilege that you would never see in the United States. But because you are American and you travel abroad, we stand out, and that comes with some privilege. And people tend to see us, not always, but in some cases tend to see us as more educated. Maybe because we are from the United States, we may have some money because we're traveling, so may have a higher stature, right? A higher social economic status, which is very important in many other countries. I mean, it's important in the U.S., but it is very important in the Dominican Republic. It is very important in places like Colombia, Mexico. Social economic status is important. So it is in your best interest to know that when you are traveling to these countries, because a lot of folks, they travel and make fools out of themselves because they come with that ignorant, way of thinking that you have in the United States and going to other countries. You are just making a fool out of yourself. So when you are just the first impression, you are an American, you go into the other countries, you have a level of privilege, even as a black man. So that level of privilege, you need to definitely take advantage of that and carry yourself accordingly. That you are educated, that you are respectful, and that you can actually, you're a person of respect and worth respecting. So that level of privilege is really dope, and you'll find that in all circles. For example, back in 2008, I was living in Peru when I went to visit a buddy and I. We went to Ecuador. We were in Ecuador for about maybe a week and a half, and we spent some time in Quito. And him and I, we went to a bar, and the bouncer, the security guard that's at the door, it was a black dude, a black Ecuadorian. So as we walked in, we went to the door. Hey, what's up? Talking, making up conversation. We walked in. We realized, damn, man, there's quite a few people here, man, but there's no black people in here. And don't give me that ain't no black people in Ecuador. Man, there's a lot of black folks in Ecuador. It's just like Colombia. It's just Ecuador is just like Colombia. It's a smaller version of Colombia. Period. So we go in there, but we didn't see any like darker skinned Ecuadorians neither. Like we just saw like all like white Ecuadorians. So we were talking amongst each other, and then the doorman, the bouncer comes by, to say, hey, how's everything going? You guys eat anything, whatever? And we were like, no, we're good. And we were asking them, man, how come there's a bunch of white Ecuadorians in here? Like there's no color, and then like this. Oh, no, they can't come in here. Like what? Yeah, he was telling us that black Ecuadorians cannot come in that bar. But and then we asked them, well, while we're here, so you guys are Americans, you guys are good, but black Ecuadorians cannot come in. So what that said is, even though that's maybe not the best example because you don't want to go and support an establishment that discriminates against black Ecuadorians, but okays black Americans, but that just to show you that's just sort of that black privilege, that American privilege that you get. You go to other countries that you have as a black man that you may not have in the United States or many other places. And you'll find that a lot of places, I have not experienced this in the US, but a lot of other countries like not Dominican Republic, like Ecuador and like Peru, they discriminate a lot against black people and people of indigenous descent. So you will find that a lot of people of indigenous descent or of African descent, they cannot enter some establishments. And from their perspective, it's all about, hey, we are a private establishment and we need to maintain a certain image. And we don't want to have an image of a lot of indigenous people coming in here or indigenous looking people coming here or a lot of black people coming in here because we don't want to give our place that image, right? It's just the way it is. But with that said, being black and being from the United States does come with some privilege, but you don't want to. You got to keep that in mind when you're traveling because there's some of these countries are brutal towards its locals. Brutal, man, brutal. And that's why you'll find that a lot of countries, especially in this part of the world, black people and the indigenous people are low in a socioeconomic status. And they are so low that you will not even know that they exist in that country. Based on what you see in movies or television or telenovelas or music or whatever representations of that country, you would never know it because you would never see it because those folks are so low in that socioeconomic status that that country basically tosses them to the side and they're basically forgotten. The only time you'll actually see them is if you travel to that country, you'll see them walking around, doing like the lowest level jobs, right? Yeah, it is. I mean, how many people out there have actually seen a telenovela from Mexico or from Colombia? And how many of you have seen an indigenous looking person there, right? An indigenous person of indigenous descent. Like, I mean, real indigenous descent. Like, how many people have you seen in there? If you've seen them, if you've seen them in that movie or telenovela, they weren't the protagonists. They weren't the supporting protagonists. If they played any role, it was a role of dancing, showing that at some sort of festival within that, show or movie represents their culture, or you may see them, cleaning. There may be a maid, or there may be, something of that sort. That's the only time you'll see them in those movies or telenovelas. The only time. Or if you see a black person, it's the same. It's the same image. That's it. And hell, I have seen. I'm not gonna. I have seen in a couple of Colombia. Colombia tends to do more. They tend to have more like telenovelas were featuring black folks and indigenous folks. But at the same time, for the most part, you won't see it, and that's just how they operate there, man. And a lot of Americans would think that those folks don't exist in those countries because you don't see it. But in all actuality, they represent the majority of the people in Colombia, or the majority of people in Peru, or the majority of people in Mexico. But man, you won't see it, man. You won't even know because you won't even see it, man. And it's sad that you'll find that their communities are some of the most forgotten communities in these countries. Yeah, man, it's just it's sad, brother. Like Strolling, damn, that's brutal. They can't come in here. Wow. Yeah, man. I'm not saying that all places are like that, but those places are numerous. There are numerous. Exactly. Always a subservient role. Yeah, man, it is. And I think that a lot of folks ignore it as if it doesn't exist. Or, yeah. But I'm not saying that you should boycott like telenovelas or nothing like that. But definitely know that that's what it is. That's the culture. And it is embedded with the culture. And so far, going even further than that, man, it's the reason why people really look at their image and try to be like look like the people they see on TV, Instagram and stuff like that. Never a doctor or lawyer. Never. But I tell you what, man, I did see a I'm gonna drop the link in here right now, just in case any of you guys want to jump in. Let me go ahead and drop the link. Boom. Yeah, in case any of you guys want to drop in, there's a link. But exactly, X-Rolling. Watch a few shows on Univision. The vast majority of them are actors like Anglo-Saxons. Yeah, man. It's just that it's I don't want to say it's part of their culture, but it's embedded with that culture where they look towards whiteness as a higher socioeconomic status, so a higher status, beauty, and everything, and all the above. They look towards whiteness in that, and that is the projection and everything dealing with media and everything dealing with society. Yeah, there it is. So I just dropped the link. What else? So if you want to jump on, fellas, and you want to jump on, let me know, man, and I'll go ahead and bring you on. What was I saying? Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest. Like Colombia, I've seen in recent years, Colombia has done more. They'll have like maybe an indigenous person playing a role, or they'll have a black person playing an important role. They have a couple of shows out there where, I mean, let's be honest, there's the show with Celia Cruz. So Celia, that used to be on Netflix. I don't know if it's still there. That's pretty much predominantly black. That's the only time in maybe another show about slavery, right? But that I've seen a Colombian show predominantly black cast, right? Predominantly black cast. But it was based on Celia Cruz, who's a black woman from Cuba, You see, so it's like it's hard not to do that. But that's the only time I've seen that where they actually doing a show maybe about slavery or about indigenous people in the past. Actually working, but I would jump on a future stream. Sounds good, brother. Sounds good, brother. I just want to, if the invite is out there for you folks, if you want to jump on. But yeah, so with that said, is it's important that when you travel, you know that about a country, and don't try. I don't want folks to have the idea that they shouldn't travel to certain countries because of all of that, because of the favoritism towards whiteness, or because black people in that country is oppressed or heavily discriminated against. Because I don't think you should not travel to that country for that reason, but you should understand that you should travel to the country to understand that and understand why that happens and how that is tied to historically tied to its history and tied to different events and tied to the current government, current society, and the way people think in that country. So all of that is connected. So I still recommend that people travel and learn about that. Appreciate the invite, though. Hey, man, the invite's always there, man. Invite's always there. It's always good to have you guys on, adding to the conversation. It's always good. One other thing I wanted to say is to add on to that privilege of being an American is when you are different, when you're a foreigner and you come to a country, and most countries, people are very much interested in you. They are curious, especially you are black and you are traveling. You are black and you are traveling. That means you got money, right? That means you have some level of education. So you people are interested in you. They are curious about you. They want to talk to you. They want to ask you questions. They want to be your friend. Yeah, they do. You do. Take advantage of that. Use that as an avenue to meet new people, to learn about the people, to make friends, to network, and to learn more about the world. And I'm telling you, travel outside the U.S., it's kind of hard to have this, to understand all that when you're living within the United States borders, because it's un-American in a sense, right? But when you leave that country and you go out to some of these beautiful places in the world, maybe they don't have a lot of money, maybe it's less developed or whatever the case may be, but you'll find some really, really beautiful people, and you can build some really meaningful relationships with people and learn so much more about the world. And people are curious about you. Curious. So I went over the cons, and I'm going to list down the pros again. The pros are great people, slow-paced life, cost of living, rich cultural experience, travel as the best form of education, the healthcare and foreigner effect. The cons I went through: crime, government systems and business operations, scams, begging, the foreigner effect, and the justice system. So if I missed anything, I really like for you guys to comment. Let me know what I missed. Let me know if you have any questions about that, any comments about that, any suggestions. I really want you guys to really, educate me, and if I'm missing them, also educate the audience, because I think that these, we should keep in mind those things that are often overlooked in the country, because the country is look, DR is paradise, but it's not all sweet. It's not all sweet, but it's definitely paradise. And if I had to do it all over again by moving here and making this transition here, I'll do it again. But I would not want to tell people to not travel or to confine themselves to a particular country. The world is big, and we all have different personalities and different desires. So definitely find what fits for you. But there's a lot out there in this world, man. And go out there and get it. Go out there, get that experience, grow, and educate yourself and those around you. And let me see if I got anyone trying to come on. No one. All right. Wait, that's pretty much all I got. If you guys got any comments or anything else, let me know. Let me ask you this. Extrolling, if you had to do it again, would you still do Santo Domingo Profe? Yes, I will. I would. I would do Santo Domingo. If I had to do it all over again, I would do it. I would probably have started the process earlier. That's one thing I didn't do. So if I had to do it all over again, I would have started the process earlier, but I would do Santo Domingo again. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. But now I'm looking at moving. Well, I still have a residence here in Santo Domingo, but I'm looking to have my permanent residence someplace else. And right now I'm just doing research, looking at what best works for my situation, my family situation. But I have a few things on my mind. It's definitely going to be in the same region, you know, the Caribbean or Latin America. But that is still in the air. I'm still doing some investigation, but I'm definitely going to be making that move summer 2023. Most definitely. Yeah. Look, the Dominican Republic has a lot to offer. It's a beautiful country. Santo Domingo, it's a big city, a lot to offer that for those folks who really want to be close to convenience. I just recommend that you do the research and really find what works for you. There's a lot of good resources out there on YouTube. During my move here, I not only read, you know, articles and forums, and I was even here a lot as well. You know, seeing different places, talking to people, seeing how things work. But also, I use YouTube as a huge resource. YouTube. I can tell you that just for those who don't know about me, I as soon as I turned 18, I got my passport and I was traveling. Man, once I finished college, I joined the Peace Corps. Immediately after I graduated, I joined the Peace Corps, and I was in Peru for 2 years and some change. And I had really got that living abroad experience through the Peace Corps, living in Peru. So after that, I always had in my mind that I was going to be leaving the United States and living abroad at some point. It is a matter of having the means and plan to do so. So I joined the military, you know, working, you know, blah, 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 doing all that. And even though I always had in the back of my mind, I just didn't have the means or the plan to actually execute. So once I started watching YouTube, I think what really prompted was I was going with one of my buddies from the Peace Corps. We're actually going to go to a trip back to Peru for a couple of weeks to visit some of our old, you know, contacts and people that we know out there. And he canceled. So because he canceled, I was like, well, if I go back to Peru, I want to go back with him. So let me go ahead and schedule something else for this trip. So then I was looking on YouTube and figuring out where can I go. So I'm looking at YouTube, and this is where I saw a video from the Godfather himself, Taylor Made Dreams. And I saw his videos of him being in a back. This is when he had his old channel in the back of his yard. We're doing videos, talking about this and how to do this and how to do that. And then I would see other videos he did and other videos from other folks that would come up on the feed. And that's when I decided, you know what? Dominican Republic is like a dope place to go to at some point. And then doing some other research, I realized that Dominican Republic is the best place to go to. So that's when I came out here for the first time, loved it. I was out here in Santo Domingo, loved it, enjoyed it. And that's how I knew that this may be a potential place I can move to in the future. And eventually, watching Taylor Made Dreams, I would say watch him because he was very motivational in the sense that it was like, look, man, you at home and you want to be out here, put together a plan to come out here, make it happen. And that motivation pushed me to do it like that, right? So before I was like, I'm doing it in the future. I'll do it in 5 years. I'll do it in 10 years, whatever the case. But watching him, he really himself motivated me to actually do it now and get to it. So that's why I got this channel to document my experience and also to show you all out there who want to do the same. Hey, put together a plan to do it. Make it happen. And right now, because of the pandemic, remote work is even more common now than it was before. So that is a avenue that people can actually use to actually get over here. So, make it happen. But hey, folks, that's all I got. Thank you guys, all of you who are out there on this live. I really appreciate your support. I appreciate it. So every Sunday, I'm going to come on live around noon, and I have a topic. Last Sunday, I was traveling, so I didn't come on live, but every Sunday, I'm going to come on live around midday, have a topic, interact with you all. So if you all are not busy, you all want to come on a live at some point, I'm going to drop the link. You can come on a live so we can get this dialogue going. All right, so I appreciate your support. Be sure to like, share with all your friends and family and colleagues. Take their phone, subscribe to my channel, and take their phone, subscribe to my channel, and I appreciate it. All right, por toda la gente ahí que no habla que no habla inglés, muchas gracias por el apoyo. Por favor, suscribe a mi canal, comparte con toda tu familia, y muchas gracias por todo el apoyo. So thank you, everyone. And I'll be putting out some more content real soon. And please, please, please be sure to like and share with all your family and friends. Peace.